Managing the firm's physical evidence. Chapter 8, Service Sector Management. Introduction. Since the nature of service is intangible, the most important part of the service is usually the physical evidence. Since most consumers lack the knowledge of a career's tools and specialization, they will rely on physical evidence to form opinions. The strategic role of physical evidence. When obtaining physical evidence, there are three broad categories. Facility exterior, which includes exterior design, frontage, parking, and surrounding environment. The next one is facility interior, which includes interior design, tools that are used, the layout, and the temperature. The last is other tangibles, which include business cards, reports, employees' appearance, and websites. Packaging. One out of the four physical evidence that plays a major role in the firm's service is packaging. Packaging doesn't have to be a purely functional reason, but can also send quality cues to the consumers. It can also add value to the service in terms on image development. Facilitating the service process. Another physical evidence a firm can use is to facilitate the flow of activities that the consumer sees in the service. It can provide information to the consumers on how the service is produced. Socializing employees and consumers. A socialization is another physical evidence that the consumers use to gain an opinion. Socialization is the process by which a person adapts to and comes to appreciate the values, norms, and required behavior patterns of an organization. A means for differentiation. The final physical evidence is the source of differentiation. Differentiation can be achieved by using physical evidence to reposition the service firm in the eyes of the consumer. The SOR model. The Stimulus Organism Response Model was developed by environmental psychologists to help explain the effect of the service environment on consumer behavior. The three components are a set stimulus, an organism component, and a set of responses or outcomes. The development of servicescapes. The SOR model is effectively used by service marketers through the creative development of servicescapes. Servicescapes refers to the use of physical evidence to design service environments. Remote, self-service, and interpersonal services. Remote services places such as mail orders, telephone, and utility services, where the consumer is involved in the production process. Self-service are services like the ATMs and the postal closets where the consumers dominate with their physical presence. And interpersonal services are places like restaurants and hotels where the consumers interact with the service provider. Stage 1. Physical environmental dimensions. The servicescape model has 5 stages, and it begins with recognizing the set of stimuli that are used when developing the service environment. There are 3 ways to recognize the set of stimuli: abundant conditions, space and functions, signs, symbols, and artifacts. Stage 2. Holistic environment. Once the environment dimensions are put in place, then you move on to the next stage. Holistic environment is the portion of the servicescape model that is formed by the employees and consumers based on physical evidence. Stage 3. Internal response moderators. The third stage of the SOR model is the internal response moderator. It is the 3 basic emotional states of the SOR model that mitigate the reaction between the consumer, servicescape, and employees. Stage 4. Internal responses. The next step in the servicescape model attempts to describe how individuals respond to the firm's servicescape. There are 3 different levels to describe this: cognitive responses, emotional responses, and psychological responses. Stage 5. Behavioral responses to the environment. The last stage of the Servicescape model is the behavioral responses to the environment, from individual responses to social responses. Managing the senses when creating Servicescape. When developing the Servicescape, you must consider the impact on the consumers, employees, and the firm's operations. Experts suggest answering these questions before implementing a Servicescape. 1. Who is the firm's target? 2. What does the target market seek from service experience? 3. Does the suggestive atmosphere development plan compete effectively with competitors' atmosphere? The 5 senses appeal. All 5 senses help the consumers make an opinion on the service that is provided to them. The sight appeal is the one that provides most of the information and the one that consumers rely on the most. Sound appeal is the second most used cue that consumers use. From the type of music to the sound that you actually avoid helps make an opinion. 5 senses appeals continue. The next 2 would be the scent and touch. If the smell of the environment is bad and the feel of the seats are uncomfortable, that would be bad for the firm. The last sensory cue would be taste. Not many firms actually focus on this cue because it is the hardest to appease.